The Galactic Council made its decision in front of every species in the galaxy. The giant holograms flashed across the skies of every major world. The council leader, a tall, gray-skinned being with 6 eyes, spoke with a cold voice. Earth is no longer welcome in this galaxy. All human colonies will be shut down. Any human ships found in council space will be destroyed. The words hit hard. Billions watched in silence. Then, slowly, the human colonies went dark. Earth said nothing more, just one final message, sent out like a whisper through the stars. We will not forget. And just like that, humanity vanished. No one knew where they went. Their stations shut down. Their trade routes were gone. Even the large human fleet disappeared without a trace. The council celebrated. Many species felt safer. They had always believed humans were too emotional, too wild, and too dangerous. Humans never fit in, some leaders said. They were always one fight away from war, others added. Weeks passed, then months. Life in the galaxy moved on without humans. But in the deep corners of space, far beyond mapped regions, something strange began to happen. It started with a signal. Weak, almost like background noise. It came from a dark region of space known as the Silent Reach, a place so far and empty, no one bothered to explore it. The signal pulsed slowly, like a heartbeat. Some thought it was just static. But one curious technician on a remote listening post noticed something strange. The signal wasn't random. It was repeating. He cleaned the noise, filtered the waves. Underneath it all, there was a pattern, a message, just 3 words. We are building. The technician sent the report to his supervisor. It was dismissed. Nothing there. Probably just space junk. But the signal kept coming. Stronger now, from different directions. Other posts caught it too. Always the same 3 words. We are building. No ships were seen. No energy spikes were recorded. Just quiet signals coming from the void. Then came the disappearances. A council probe, sent to investigate one of the signal sources, went dark within hours. Another scout ship followed. It sent back one final log before vanishing. Entering unknown zone. No light. No stars. Strange structure ahead. Massive in size. Wait, this can't be. And then silence. The council grew uneasy. They told the public it was just sensor errors. But behind closed doors, they formed a secret team to study the signals. They called it Project Phantom. Meanwhile, traders and pirates traveling near the edge of known space began whispering. Some claimed they saw strange lights, shapes moving in the dark, too fast to follow. Others spoke of huge stations that appeared on sensors that vanished when approached. One freighter captain returned with a blurry image. It showed a massive ship, black as the void, with markings no one recognized, except one symbol. A small old Earth flag, scorched but still flying. When asked where he saw it, the captain replied, "I don't know. I dropped out of warp by mistake, but whatever it was, it saw me." The council kept this quiet, but more stories spread. Pilots spoke of ships with no heat signatures, stations that built themselves, weapons that left no trace, and always the same silent message across the stars. We are building. What the galaxy didn't know was this. Humanity had not disappeared. It had moved. After being cast out, Earth activated its oldest plan, something only a few leaders knew about. Project Unseen. A network of hidden ships, AI factories, and deep space builders, all located in forgotten corners of the galaxy, places no one dared go. They didn't plan for war. Not yet. They planned for survival, for strength, for silence. On one such hidden station, deep in the dark, a human engineer named Rena checked her systems. Around her, machines worked without rest, constructing ships, gathering resources, testing new tech. She looked at the screen. The signal was working. The galaxy had noticed. "Good," she whispered. "Let them wonder." Behind her, a giant window showed the growing fleet. Dark ships with no lights, no names, and no fear. Ships that could move without sound. That could hide in plain sight. That were being prepared for something greater. The Galactic Council thought humanity was gone. They were wrong. They had pushed humans into a corner. And in that dark corner, humanity was building something the galaxy had never seen before. The signal didn't stop. It grew louder, clearer. "We are building." All across the edges of the galaxy, listening stations picked it up. But the signal had changed. It was no longer just 3 words. New layers had been added. Deeper pulses, strange patterns, hidden codes. Some thought it was just old tech noise. But others began to worry. Inside the Galactic Council, Project Phantom was now top secret. The Council's top scientists, spies, and war analysts were working night and day to figure out the signal's origin. They couldn't. "Where are these coming from?" demanded Counselor Trellvax, leader of defense. His team brought up a star map. Dozens of red dots appeared, all blinking. "Every one of these points is sending the same message," said the science chief. "But there's no power trail, no ship movement, no heat, just silence and the signal." "Could it be human?" another counselor asked. That word, human, hung heavy in the air. No one wanted to say it, but they all thought it. Out in the far dark, something else was happening. A merchant ship called the Silver Wind was passing near the edge of known space. The crew had heard rumors. Ghost ships, strange signals, things vanishing in the dark. But they didn't believe them. Until their lights flickered. Until their systems slowed. Until something appeared on their radar. At first, it was just a shadow. Then, a shape. A ship. Huge. Black. Silent. The Silver Wind sent a message. "Unknown vessel. Identify yourself." No reply. They pinged again. Nothing. Then, without warning, the black ship moved. It didn't fire. It didn't speak. It simply appeared beside them. No sound. No warning. Inside the Silver Wind, panic broke out. "Is it attacking?" the captain shouted. "No weapons detected, but it's scanning us." The crew watched as the shadow ship slowly turned away. It vanished into the dark like smoke. Then their comms lit up. Just one short message. "Do not fear. We remember." The crew recorded everything and ran back to Council space. The story spread like fire across the outer worlds. Humans were alive, and they were watching. On one of Earth's hidden stations, deep in the void, the human engineer Rena stood beside her commander, Colonel Hayes. They watched a wall of screens, each showing a different part of their growing empire. Stations, fleets, defense satellites, AI drones. Colonel Hayes crossed his arms. "They're starting to notice us." Rena nodded. "They should. It's time." The humans weren't trying to hide anymore. They were letting the galaxy see, just enough to spread fear, just enough to make the Council nervous. "We want them to talk," Hayes said. "We want them to remember who we are." Rena smiled. "They will." Back in Council space, arguments had started. "Prepare for war," shouted one military leader. "No, we don't know their strength yet," others warned. A few believed humans should be welcomed back. Most disagreed. They were thrown out for a reason. Counselor Trellvax growled. "Now they're in the dark, building weapons. What does that tell you?" "What if they've changed?" someone asked. Trellvax slammed the table. "Species don't change, especially not them." He didn't know someone was listening. In a secret human outpost, hidden inside a dead comet, a spy watched the Council's meetings. Every word, every plan. The humans were always one step ahead. "They're scared," the spy said into her mic. "Yes," came the reply. "Fear is the first step. The humans had learned from their past. No more open alliances. No more trusting broken systems. Now they listened. They waited. They prepared. And they spoke through signals. We are building. We remember. We are not gone. Each message had meaning. Each signal planted doubt, fear, and questions. What were the humans building? How powerful were they now? Why hadn't they attacked yet? On the moon of a forgotten world, a scavenger named Dren found something strange, a black box, old but still active. He brought it to his ship and opened it. Inside, a recording played. A human face appeared. No name, just eyes, calm but cold. You banished us. You thought it was over. But you only gave us what we needed. Time, space, silence. While you argued, we advanced. While you feared, we evolved. The face leaned forward. We will not ask for peace. We will not beg for place. We will not kneel. We are the unseen empire now, and we are coming. Dren dropped the box. He looked at the stars outside his window, and for the first time, he truly felt it. Humanity had not just survived. It had changed. And the galaxy was no longer safe. The galaxy was no longer quiet. Ships whispered to each other. Stations went dark without warning. Old satellites showed strange symbols in their data logs. It was like the stars were speaking, but not in any known language. And always, the same message came. We are building. We remember. Now the Galactic Council had a name for it. The Unseen Empire. In Council Core World, leaders gathered in panic. Councillor Trellvax slammed his fist on the table again. They are not hiding anymore. Humans are growing stronger in the dark, and we still do nothing. They haven't attacked us, said the Trade Minister. Not yet, Trellvax shouted. But their silence is the threat. They are making us guess. That's worse than war. The others looked at the data. Hundreds of red zones on the map. All blank. No signals. No movement. But they knew something was there. Ships that entered never returned. Drones sent and vanished. Scouts lost contact after a few minutes. One thing was clear. Someone had built a powerful network across the uncharted zones. And it could only be them. Far beyond those zones, deep inside a metal planet shaped like a moon, the unseen empire was waking. The central chamber of the human command tower glowed with blue lights. Holograms danced in the air, showing shipyards, factories, fleets. Colonel Hayes stood at the center. He wore no medals, no bright colors, just a black suit and quiet eyes. Status, he asked. A voice answered. It wasn't human. Valkyrie Command reports 62 new dreadnoughts ready. I-cores synchronized. Cloak field stable. No energy trace. Another voice spoke. Satellite shield web complete across Sector 7. All ghost probes in position. Hayes nodded. Phase 2 begins now. Meanwhile, a small council scout ship named Helix Runner moved through the edge of the unmapped zone. The captain, Zari, was a young officer eager to prove herself. She was told to observe and return. No contact. No deep scans. But when they passed an asteroid belt, they saw something impossible. Floating above one of the rocks was a massive structure, dark and silent. A station. A ship. No heat. No sound. But it was there. Zeri ordered the ship to move closer. Just then, every system on the Helix Runner froze. Lights dimmed. Engines stopped. The crew gasped. On every screen, one message appeared. You were warned. A calm, human voice followed. Do not step further. And then, just like that, power returned. The systems rebooted. The shadow vanished. Zeri turned the ship around and ran. Inside the council chambers, the report caused panic. They have ships we can't detect, weapons we can't trace. They've taken whole sectors without firing a single shot. One leader shouted. They warned us. And still we kept pushing, another said. But how did they build all this? One counselor whispered. That was the real fear. No one knew. Humans had disappeared from the galaxy just 30 years ago. How had they made this much in so little time? The answer came from an old man, a retired human studies expert who hadn't spoken in decades. He stood slowly and said, "You gave them exactly what they needed. Silence. Isolation. A reason." Back in the unseen empire, Colonel Hayes looked at the stars. Behind him, young officers prepared fleets. As ships waited in black hangars, stations lit up with quiet power. Beside him stood Rena, the engineer. "They're afraid," she said. "They should be," Hayes replied. "But we don't want war." "Then what do we want?" she asked. He smiled. "Respect." On a border world near the Council's edge, an invasion fleet from a minor species ignored the warnings. They wanted to test the humans, see if the stories were true. They entered the zone with 20 warships. Only one returned. It floated back, burned and empty. No crew, no weapons, just one message carved into the hull. "You were warned. This is not your space anymore." That was the moment the galaxy truly believed. The unseen empire was real. And it was powerful. But more than that, it was quiet. It didn't beg for peace. It didn't shout for war. It just moved, built, watched, and waited. For what? No one knew. But every species now had the same thought. We should have never pushed them out. The unseen empire's silence was the loudest sound in the galaxy. At the heart of the council, fear spread like wildfire. The invasion from the minor species was only the beginning. After the fleet was destroyed, whispers filled the space stations and war rooms. The council had underestimated humanity. Again. Across the galaxy, the unseen empire was quietly expanding. Humans were still out of sight, yet they were everywhere. Ships moved in and out of the darkness, fleet after fleet, all without leaving a trace. It was as if they were ghosts, impossible to follow, impossible to fight. A few still believed humanity was weak, lost to the stars. They were wrong. Colonel Hayes, standing before a wall of holographic maps, was calm. He didn't need to see the chaos in the galaxy. He knew the Empire's power had already been established. It wasn't about weapons or wars anymore. It was about control. "We don't need to strike first," Hayes said quietly to Rena, his voice calm but firm. "We just need to remind them." The human forces weren't about to destroy everything in sight. They weren't angry anymore. Humanity had learned, but the galaxy had to understand one thing: never again. They had been forgotten, cast aside. But now, the humans would return. They would make sure no one would forget who they were. On a far planet, hidden in a cloud of dust, a council scouting ship called the Phantom's Edge approached the outer ring of the Empire's space. The captain, Soren, was uneasy. The reports about humans had been getting stranger by the day. Ships vanished. Entire fleets were wiped out without firing a shot. Something was wrong. "Something is out there," Captain Soren muttered. "We should turn back," said his navigator, nervous. "We've been ordered to avoid this region." But Soren didn't listen. He pressed forward, his curiosity stronger than his fear. As they moved deeper into the zone, something changed. The stars flickered. The ship's sensors went haywire. They received a message, a warning. "Turn back. You are not welcome here." The words were spoken slowly, in a calm voice that made Soren's blood run cold. The captain tried to contact them, but there was only silence. Then, the stars blinked out. The ship was plunged into complete darkness. The crew held their breath. They could feel the pressure building, a strange weight pressing down on them. It wasn't just the darkness. It was something worse, a presence. Suddenly, the darkness split open like a curtain. A huge, silent fleet appeared out of nowhere. Massive ships that seemed to materialize from the void. Without a word, The Phantom's edge turned and fled. The council had no idea what was happening, but they knew they had to act fast. "The humans aren't just hiding," said Trellvax, his eyes burning with anger. "They're in the shadows, playing the game their way. We need to stop them before they grow too strong." "Stop them?" Counselor Zaya asked, her voice shaking. "How? We don't even know what they have." The council was divided. Some wanted to go to war. Others wanted peace, but no one was willing to admit the truth. They couldn't stop the humans anymore. Back on Earth, the human fleets gathered. The vast structures built in secret over the years now lay in wait, ready to rise. Rena stood beside Colonel Hayes, looking at the massive fleet before them. There was no celebration, no pride. This was not a victory. It was a statement. "We've come a long way, haven't we?" Rena said, her voice quiet. Hayes nodded. "We have." They had come from being pushed out, forgotten, and erased from the galaxy's history. Now the unseen empire was ready to show the galaxy that no one, not even the council, could forget humanity. "Prepare Phase 3, Hayes ordered. Rena turned to the command staff. "Phase 3 is a message, nothing more." The entire fleet powered up. The vast ships floated like silent giants in the dark. The galaxy was not ready. A massive communication blast shot across the stars. The signal wasn't a simple message. It was a wave of energy that sent shockwaves through every sensor array, every ship, every outpost. It didn't just say words. It was the words. "We are Earth. We are the forgotten. But now we rise. Remember us. We will not fall. We will not break. We will never be forgotten again." For the first time, the council felt true fear. Far across the galaxy, a small rebel group of council soldiers, tired of endless wars and corruption, saw the signal. They had been ignored by the council, cast aside like humanity. But now they saw an opportunity. "Do you think they'll take us in?" one soldier asked, his voice filled with hope. "I think the humans will understand," said another. They were no longer the outcasts. Humanity's message had been clear. The galaxy could choose to fear them or join them. Back on the human fleet, Hayes and Rena watched as the galaxy reacted. Some sent out military forces, some tried to negotiate, some simply went silent. But they were all watching. Humanity had shown them all one thing. It wasn't about weapons or destruction. It was about survival. And the unseen empire had survived in ways no one could understand. They had become the shadow in the stars. And now, no one could ignore them. The galaxy was on edge. The unseen empire had sent its message. Humanity was back. And now, nothing would be the same. The council was no longer united. The fear of what humanity had become spread faster than any ship could travel. At the heart of the council, leaders gathered in an emergency meeting. Trellvax slammed his fist down. "This is madness. We can't let them do this. We cannot let them grow any stronger." Counselor Zaya spoke, her voice tight with fear. "We don't know what they're capable of. This isn't just a war. This is an invasion. And they haven't fired a single shot." "But they will," Trellvax snapped. "They'll make us beg for mercy before we know it." Beyond the council's walls, the galaxy moved with uncertainty. Some systems remained loyal to the council, but many more were afraid. Fear spread through every species like wildfire. Ships disappeared. Outposts vanished. The galaxy was slowly being swallowed by the shadow of humanity. On the fringes of known space, human ships loomed in the dark. The galaxy's brightest minds were still scrambling, trying to understand the technology, the cloaking devices, the ships that could move without a trace. But there was one thing they all knew: the humans were everywhere. Inside the unseen empire's command center, Colonel Hayes watched the galaxy unfold in front of him. His eyes were cold, but his mind was sharp. He didn't want war. What he wanted was for the galaxy to understand one thing. "Are we ready?" Hayes asked quietly. Rena, standing beside him, nodded. Phase 4 is in place. We are ready to make contact with the other systems. Let them choose their side. We've waited long enough, Hayes replied. We will not wait anymore. They had been pushed out, cast aside, forgotten. But humanity had found a way to grow stronger in the shadows. It was time for the galaxy to know who they were, to remember who had once ruled the stars. On the world of Drosen, a small planet that had once belonged to the Council, a hidden meeting took place. The leaders of the Council's enemies were ready to speak to humanity. This is our chance, said General Sorrow, a leader of the Resistance. We've been running, hiding for too long. The humans, they've been watching us. And now, they are reaching out. Are we sure we want to make this choice? Asked one of the leaders. Zero stood tall. This is not just about survival. It's about strength. The Council cannot protect us. But the humans, they can. The Resistance knew the risks, but they also knew one truth. The galaxy's power was shifting. The Council's reign was slipping away. Humanity's rise was inevitable. We must join them, General Sorrow said firmly. We can't wait any longer. Meanwhile, on Earth's fleet, the message had been sent. A long, slow broadcast to every corner of the galaxy. It wasn't a warning. It was an invitation. We are Earth. We offer you a choice. Stand with us, and we will show you what true power looks like. Refuse, and you will fall before us. Choose wisely. The message was clear. The galaxy had a choice. Follow the Council and face humanity's wrath, or join the humans and be part of something greater than ever before. The Council's response was swift. They declared a full military strike. Ships were mobilized. Troops were deployed. They would make humanity submit or crush them. But they were too late. Before the Council's forces could launch their strike, they received a message from their own fleets. The fleet is turning back. We stand with the humans now. One by one, Council systems began to withdraw. Even the most loyal allies saw the writing on the wall. The Council was no longer the power they once were. Humanity had made its move, and they had chosen their side. Back in the unseen empire, Colonel Hayes stood in front of a map of the galaxy, the stars twinkling like jewels on a dark canvas. His fleet was ready. The galaxy was finally paying attention. Reyna stood beside him, watching the Council's fleet fall apart. They're done, she said quietly. Hayes nodded. Not yet. They'll fight to the end, but it won't be enough. They had built an empire from the shadows. It wasn't just the fleets. It wasn't just the ships. Humanity had something more powerful than technology, unity. And now, the galaxy would learn that lesson. On the edge of Council space, a small group of leaders stood in a darkened chamber. The writing was on the wall. The Resistance had joined humanity. Their ships had already begun the journey to Earth's side, and the rest of the galaxy was watching. We've lost, one leader whispered. No, said another. We've just lost the chance to win. The Council was falling apart, piece by piece. It had once been the most powerful force in the galaxy, but now they were simply another relic of the past. The universe was changing, and it would never be the same again. The choice had been made. The galaxy was at a crossroads. One side would stand with humanity, with the unseen empire. The other would face their wrath. It wasn't about revenge anymore. It wasn't about hatred. It was about rebuilding, about taking back what had been stolen. And the Council's fall was only the beginning. The galaxy had changed. The fall of the Council was a turning point, one that no one had seen coming. The once powerful empire had been replaced with the shadow of humanity, rising from the ashes, ready to reshape everything. On Earth's flagship, the Vanguard, Colonel Hayes watched the stars. His fleet was massive, far greater than anyone had ever imagined. But this wasn't about power. This was about creating something new, something better. This is it, Reyna said, standing next to him. A new beginning. Hayes looked out at the vastness of space, where millions of ships now waited. We've waited long enough. It had been a long road to this moment. Humanity had been exiled, forgotten, pushed aside. But now, they were united. Now, they were the ones in charge. The galaxy had no choice but to follow their lead. Are we ready to show the galaxy what we can do? Rena asked. Hayes smiled, but it was a smile full of purpose. Not yet. First, we make our message clear. Back in the Council's broken halls, the last of the leaders sat in silence. Their empire was crumbling. No one dared to speak up anymore. The galaxy was no longer theirs. The humans have won, Counselor Zaya whispered, her voice trembling. Trelvax, once so confident, now felt the weight of defeat. It's over. There's nothing left to do. Outside, ships once loyal to the Council had already begun to turn their course. Some, like the Drozen resistance, had joined humanity. Others were running, hiding, trying to avoid what was coming. The unseen empire was not just powerful, it was inevitable, and the galaxy had no way to stop it. Humanity's fleets moved in formation, ready to make their final push. But they weren't going to destroy the galaxy. No, they were going to rebuild it. They had no interest in vengeance, only in creating a new future. The message was clear. You can choose to stand with us or against us. But if you choose to stand against us, we will show you what happens when you challenge Earth. On one of the distant planets of the galaxy, General Sorrow, a former leader of the Resistance, looked at his own fleet, now standing with humanity. The galaxy will never be the same, but at least it has a chance now. He was right. This wasn't just about military power anymore. This was about unity. About a galaxy it would finally understand what humanity had always known. On Earth, the people had watched the rise of their new empire. They had seen the fleets gathering, the ships moving, but they had also seen something more. They had seen their leaders, their soldiers, and their people unite under one banner. The galaxy had once feared humanity. Now, they were the ones who would bring peace. They would bring a new era of progress. The old ways were gone. At the heart of the new empire, a new council was formed, one made up of the diverse species that had once been at war, but now stood united under the banner of humanity. This is how it should have been all along, Rena said, standing before a new map of the galaxy. A galaxy united, not divided by old hatreds, but by common purpose. Hayes nodded. The galaxy had forgotten what it was like to live in peace, but now they have no choice but to learn. In the depths of the galaxy, on planets once ruled by the Council, the people began to see the changes. Earth's influence spread, not through fear or control, but through cooperation. The people began to see that humanity wasn't just about power, it was about survival, unity, and rebuilding what had been lost. Slowly, systems began to join humanity's cause. Some did so willingly, others out of necessity. But in the end, they all knew that standing with humanity meant a new chance, a fresh start. On Earth's flagship, Hayes looked out across the vastness of space. He knew the galaxy was still full of challenges, of dangers. But for the first time, he felt a sense of peace. They had done it. Humanity had risen from the ashes, built an empire not through destruction, but through the strength of their unity. Are you ready for the future? Rena asked. Hayes smiled. The future is ours. The galaxy had been remade. Humanity was no longer outcast. They were the center of the galaxy, leading not with force, but with understanding. As the final fleets of the Council faded into history, a new chapter began. The unseen empire, once hidden in the shadows, was now the beacon of a new era. The galaxy had changed forever. Humanity had made their mark. And now, they would lead the galaxy into a new dawn. And so, the story of the outcasts, the forgotten, came to an end. But their legacy, their empire, would live on. A galaxy once divided, now united under one banner, a banner of Earth. and the galaxy would remember. Never again would they forget.